the sport.
Bring on the early mornings.
The long busting training sessions.
Bring the new ideas, the new era, the new talents.
Be the difference.
The home advantage.
The away following.
Be ready to have your breath taken away.
And that's what Mikey Lewis can do.
We don't believe in impossible.
George Williams, his first contribution for Warrington.
We're unstoppable.
They cannot stop this man. They cannot stop him.
Bring the fire. Bring the heart.
It's time to get loud.
Let's go! Because this is Betfred Super League.
Bring it on.
Hello and welcome to the home of the Betfred Super League champions as we build up to the new season. And the new season starts tomorrow night with an absolute cracker here. It's a repeat of the grand final. It's St Helens versus the Catland Dragons. With me for the next hour, I'm delighted to say we've got, well, for many, the voice of Rugby League, Eddie Hemmings. Eddie, thanks for joining us. Pleasure. Paul Sculthorpe, who won the grand final on 4 occasions. And we've got the coach of St Helens, Kristian Woolf. Kristian, thanks for joining us on the eve of the Super League. How are you feeling?
No, good. Ready for a big game tomorrow, obviously.
Are you excited as we are?
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a great way to start the season, isn't it? It's a big game. It's the two best teams in the comp from last year, and they've recruited really well, and I'm really happy with our preparation so far as well. So really looking forward to it.
So how's pre-season been?
It's been really good. We've had a little bit of disruption after Christmas, as I think most teams probably have with some COVID, and outside of that, I've been really happy with the blokes and really happy with how they've come back, how they've approached the pre-season, how they've come back fitness-wise, and I think we're in a really good spot to start the year, so excited about it.
You mentioned COVID. It's been a strange old time for you. I was having a look. You had 7 games, didn't you, including the Club World Championship, and then the season was called to a halt. Real stop-start to your coaching career here.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit strange. We're just sort of getting going, and I had a couple of losses as well that we were disappointed with, and all you want to do after a loss is try and find a way to make sure that you're better the next week and make up for it, and all of a sudden we were into a bit of unknown, and I think at first we certainly thought it might be a couple of weeks that we were stopping the season for, and we're going to get going again and not too far down the track, but the weeks just kept rolling, and I think it ended up about 15, 16 weeks. So it was a strange time, but we got through that and had a really good year to finish, so it all ended well.
Well, I mean, that grand final was unbelievable against Wigan. You commentated on quite a few. You didn't commentate on that one, no? That was one of the best grand finals I've seen.
It was sensational, it really was. I mean, the last second of the game, and it all went down to that try from the man who should be the headline act here now at St Helens. I'm sure you're trying to keep the lid on it a little bit, Kristian, as far as that's concerned.
But he's got the number 1 shirt now.
Well, I know he has. That's a fantastic thing for him. And he has to, doesn't he, because Lachlan Cooter's gone. Can I just ask you, you've won this thing now, the club has 3 years in a row. Do you ever talk about 4 in the pre-season build-up? Do you ever think...
Everyone else is.
We're all talking about it. Do you mention it at all?
No, look, it's been very little in terms of our discussions, and we certainly know it's there. Like, you can't go anywhere or you can't not realise what the players have achieved. It's a real privilege to be in the position that we're all in, and particularly for the hard work that the players have put in. So they're very aware of what's in front and what opportunities there, but it's not something we've discussed much at all, no.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't, because I mean that's what coaches and managers of football teams they all do. They do try and keep the lid on expectation. I know your chief executive does. We did the walk for Steve Prescott last year at VAR Cares, and you were on course for winning everything. And Mike said, "Oh no, don't start that. Now don't start talking like that. We can't win every game, it's impossible." And it is, to be fair, it is. But you went very close. Very close to winning every game. It was a fantastic season, wasn't it? And they say, don't they, when you're on the top, you should change things about, you should recruit a bit more, you should just change things up. You're doing that, and you've got some exciting young players that are going to come through this year, I'm sure. I mean, we've mentioned one already. Lewis Dodd is another. They've shown what they can do. You must have high expectations of these two.
Yeah, definitely. The 2 guys, Jack Wellesby and Lewis Dodd, are 2 guys that we've had in the system for a long time, and they've been in and around first grade for the last couple of years since I've been here, and we certainly know on their talent, and we get to see firsthand every week we do 13 on 13, and they're in our second, so to speak, and they're carving up the first team at times. So we've certainly been aware of what they're capable of, and it's a different thing, I suppose, having that potential, but being able to step in the role and handle the pressure and being able to perform at that level. And we knew if we nurtured them right and sort of brought them through right and gave them plenty of opportunities, but without putting too much pressure on or too much expectation on, that they're going to come good, and that's exactly what they've done. It's a real credit to those two young men. They're outstanding young men. The way they carry themselves, the people they are, the way they work, the way they train, the way they fit in with what we're doing. They're a real pleasure to coach, and they've got long and very successful careers ahead of them.
I'm sure they have. I mean, you talk about long and successful careers. We can't not talk about the man, James Roby. I mean, Kieran Cunningham, he was a legend. His statue is outside the ground. James Roby, I mean, he just keeps going and going. And he looks younger and younger every year, doesn't he? And he looks fitter and fitter.
I think there's talk already as well about, it might not be Roby's last season as well.
He's 36. How's he been pre-season?
He's been outstanding. The first year I come, he actually had some dramas around a groin injury, and it was a really difficult one to diagnose, and actually took basically his whole pre-season away. And I think he came back into play. I think his first game actually back was the World Club Challenge that year, and it knocked him around a little bit. And I think at that stage he was probably having some doubts about how much longer he'd play. But once we figured out what was going on there and got that right and got him back playing, he obviously finished the year really well. He looked like he hadn't missed anything, and he certainly didn't show his age in that grand final in 2020. I think he made 60-something tackles and was outstanding, and very deserved a winner there as well. And last year he had an outstanding pre-season. He looked really good. He was fit. He was healthy, and he had a really good year again off the back of that, and played just as well, I thought, in a grand final. And this year he's got a real spring in his step. He's still right at the front of the conditioning. He's up there competing with guys like Lewis Dodd, who are extremely fast and extremely fit, and
16 years younger,
and a few years younger. That's right. And he's out in front competing with those guys and wanting to beat those guys, and that's what makes him such a special player. He's obviously elite fitness wise. He's a real competitor. He's tough. He's skillful. He's got everything that you want for a player in that position. And I'd heard plenty about him before I come over here, obviously, but to come over and be able to work with him and be able to deal with him and see how he carries himself and see how he leads the group. Why has this group had so much success? The man who's leading them is a big part of that success, and a big part of the culture that the club's got, and a real driver for that. So I've said in the media before, he's the best leader that I've dealt with, and there's no doubt there whatsoever.
Do you think the COVID situation, that players like James Roby, it's helped them? Obviously, I don't think the kind of player James Roby, the career he's had, he'll never have done 2 or 3 months without the contact, the impact that he obviously didn't have in them few months. And I know I've seen reports of Rob's, saying that I think it certainly did him good in the long term.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think it did him a lot of good in the long term, to be honest. And as I said, he'd had a really disrupted pre-season. He had a really difficult end of 2019 as well, with the same injury. And being able to, and what we quite often do, you want your best players on the park. So you're really pushing the boundaries in terms of trying to get them back on the field, and they're not necessarily physically at their best when they come back on the field at times. And I think that break, when it came, and the length of time that it was, gave a guy like him, who's a little bit older as well, gave his body probably the first break, genuine break like that, as you said, for a number of years. And mentally it's a freshen up, physically it's a freshen up, it's a chance to really work on your body. And I think he's a really good example of who it did benefit. But I'd go as far as saying that a lot of our older, more experienced players, and in particular the guys who've played a lot of international for a number of years, you don't get a break and you don't get a chance to work on your body, and I think it did a lot of them real good.
Do you think, I'll bring you in again, Scully, do you think there's an element as well that James Roby probably realised, having that break, appreciate what he's got? I've spoken to a few snooker players, like Mark Williams, wasn't enjoying his snooker so much, had that break, couldn't play, he was like, I want to carry on playing.
Yeah, I think like Kristian said then, as much as the physical side of it, the mental side, just to be able to not switch off, because the way James is, that he'll have been training, but he'll have been moderate, maintenance, but just to be able to freshen up and have that break, without games, without intense team training that he's had for 20 years. And like you say, you know, the back-to-back with international football as well.
Yeah.
You're literally rolling one season into another.
And while we're talking about COVID, unfortunately, obviously you had lots of games behind closed doors. What it has proved, sport is nothing without fans, is it?
No, you're right. Look, last year...
I mean, that amazing grand final. I mean,
Yeah.
It was, you know, Jack Wellsby, but, you know, it wasn't a soul there, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, and that's unfortunate. And, you know, that type of game and the way it finished and who, you know, the two teams playing on the night, that would have been an absolutely amazing atmosphere, and the roof would have come off the place at the end. And, you know, that would have been outstanding to be a part of, and it was anyway, without the crowds. But, you know, a real pivotal moment for me and something that I'll always remember was last year, our first home game here, and it was capped crowds of 4,000, so it wasn't a massive crowd. But just the noise, the appreciation, the feeling of having fans back and how loud it was outstanding.
And then what about leading them out at Old Trafford? That must have been very, very special.
Yeah, it was great. And, you know, we get we get to lead them out at our end as well in front of all our fans. And, you know, it is outstanding. And, again, that's something I remember forever. And, you know, just walking out, you know, Old Trafford obviously is a pitch that everyone's familiar with, and that, you know, includes people in Australia, and you know, walking out in front of our fans, and the fans here are just, you know, they're so great as well. You know, the way they sing songs and really get into the game and really create an atmosphere is something special that the game's got over here, and, you know, we don't really enjoy that in Australia, so it's great to come over and experience it.
There's no pressure on you, Kristian, but you've got to do it again this year. And you've got to send Roby away if he does finish his career, although, as Paul rightly says, there's talk that he might not. You've got to send him away a winner again. You've got to make it... It was a three-peat last year, wasn't it? You've got to make it a four-peat this year.
The historic four.
The historic, yes.
No
Never
team's
ever
done it
been
in
done
the Super League era
before. What a way to finish any career that would be for him.
Oh, it'd be great, and very deserved, to be honest, with, you know, what he's given the game and the way he's performed for so long. You'd love to see him go out a winner, and there's no guarantees there. There's no such thing as fairy tales, and, you know, everyone would love one, but you've got to work really, really hard, and you've got to have a lot of things go your way to get that as well. But, you know, one thing I do know about this group is they're going to give themselves the absolute best chance. They've worked really hard through a pre-season. They're in a really good position to start the year. We're going to have ups and downs because every season's tough, and, you know, you do have things that are challenges throughout the year, but they're going to be up for the fight, and they've shown that fight again.
But the fact that they've won it so many times, and the fact that they are, I think, recognised now as the most successful club that the Super League has ever produced, they don't tire of it. They want more and more. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, that's exactly what I'm saying, and that's what makes special groups. And Scully's been a part of some special groups here as well. And
well, he won it 4 times as well.
Yeah, and they're special groups because success doesn't get boring. You know, they want to keep working towards it. They want to keep winning.
Yeah, I think it's the other
only
way,
retirement gets boring, doesn't it?
I think the more success you have, the greedier you get.
Yeah,
it's definitely a case of that.
Let's just turn our attention now to tomorrow night's opponents, if that's okay. And let's hear from the Catalans coach, Steve McNamara.
With every season, you sort of debrief. You look at what you've done well and what you've not done so well. Things you want to keep, things you want to change. So when you talk about achievements, you know, we didn't, you know, we obviously finished top of the regular season at the top, but we missed out on, you know, 2 of the main trophies which were up for grabs, the Challenge Cup and the Super League one. So quite clearly there's room for improvement for us, but you know, satisfied in terms of that. Probably our second year on the run that we've shown consistency throughout in the league. You know, we finished in the top 4 the year before, and then obviously at the top this year round. So yeah, just really just like any other season, just assess it, look at it. What do we want to keep? What do we want to improve on? And let's go. You know, obviously the 3 players, you know, we recruited with, you know, they've all won NRL grand finals. They've been involved in the top end games. They've seen it, they've felt it, they've smelled it. They understand what it takes to actually get there, which is the main thing. You know, getting there and winning there is important, but for clubs to understand how to get there first and foremost is important. We've seen many teams in the competition. In the Super League competition, I've got to a grand final and not managed to get back there again for a long period of time. So bringing those players in is important for us. But I think the growth of our younger players is the thing that's most impressive for me. I thought they showed great growth last season. You know, at the start of the season, none of us were sure. You weren't sure, we weren't sure exactly how we would go. But those young players showed tremendous growth. And in the off season, I've seen that growth continue. So yeah, it's great that we've managed to add a little bit to the top end of our squad. but the bottom end of our squad has risen rapidly. I think the gap between our marquee players, as you said it there, in terms of not financially, but the ones that you all talk about, and the bottom end players, that gap has narrowed, and that makes us a stronger squad on paper. If we're prepared to work as hard as we have worked over the last few years to try and get success.
So it's a repeat of the grand final. Of course, St Helens lifted a trophy, but that was a tough final, wasn't it? 12-10.
It was a very tough game. It was everything I think you want in a grand final. It was two really good teams. Both played good footy, and both really physical and relentless, and just a great game of footy, and with its ups and downs as well. So, as I said, exactly what you want, and what I'd expect tomorrow night as well.
Look, I know you don't like losing any matches, but did what happened at Magic help the team in the build-up to grand final?
I think it did. I think in both years, or the last 2 years, we've had a moment that's been a really good one for us to reflect on and look for improvements from. And going back to 220, the game we lost here at home to Wigan, that certainly showed us that we need to do a couple of things different. We were able to improve from that and get a different result when it really mattered. And I think the game at Magic last year, was exactly the same. We quite obviously dropped our intensity and allowed something to happen that we shouldn't have and didn't think was possible. And you get a real learn out of that, and that's exactly what the players did.
If you want to send any comments, please do. And I've got one here. I wouldn't dare ask this question, so Alistair Burrows can instead. Where does Kristian feel your biggest selection headaches are?
Look, we've got a few. Obviously, we brought some new players in, and we've gone about an approach this year to try and really build our depth. We think it's going to be a really tough year. There's to win the competition and have success in both the grand final and the Challenge Cup. You're going to have to play 33, 34 games. It's a lot of footy. There's a lot of short turnarounds. So, as I said, we've tried to build the depth. So, I think around centres certainly one. You've got guys like, obviously Conrad Hurrell, Will Hopewadi, young guys like Ben Davies, Josh Sim, knocking on the door there as well. So, and obviously Mark Percival, who's been there for a long time. The back row, or the second row, Joe Batchelor did an outstanding job last year, and I thought he was really good in the grand final. I thought he was a bit of an unsung hero in that game, and he really stepped into those shoes of James Bentley last year, and again did a great job. But Curtis Sirenen comes in as a big boy who moves really well with a great skill set. So there's a couple of competitive spots there.
Okay.
Look, for me, James Roby, he deserves everything he gets, and he hasn't slowed down one bit. So that's one thing I will say, that James Roby's going to start at hooker tomorrow night, and I think Joey Lussick's a really good fall for him coming off the bench.
It's a dilemma that you've got here that many coaches will be envying, and you mention all those names. Not only will they be envying, they will be quaking in their boots, because you've got one hell of a squad here. I remember when Daniel Anderson left, and then when Justin left and you came in, we all thought, it can't go on. This trophy-laden business at Saints can't go on. It has, and it does. I mean, it's fantastic the way this club is run, and the way that they organise everything. You bring the new faces in at just the right time, as I alluded to earlier on. I mean, it's tremendous. I'm sorry, you're under pressure from minute one here, Kristian. You are. You're the team to beat. You definitely. And what's more, on our podcast, our Betfred sponsored podcast, by the way, earlier this week, Steve-O, who we all know is the oracle of rugby league, has tipped you again. So I can hear the St Helens supporters groaning as I say that, but everyone will be tipping you. There's no question. You're there to be beaten. You're there to be taken down a peg or two.
Yeah, look, and we sit very comfortably with that, to be honest. It's a privilege to have that sort of pressure. You only get that pressure when you've actually had success, and there's a bit of expectation that you're a chance of doing it again. So it's a privilege to have that. It's something we've dealt with the last couple of years, and dealt with this group of men deal with it really, really well, and have learned how to do that well, and I've got no doubt they can do it again.
Kristian, we're going to let you go because it's the eve of the start of the season.
It's past his bedtime.
Yeah. Busy preparing for tomorrow night. Just want to ask you a couple of questions before we finish. First of all, Sky do a brilliant job. You're live on Sky tomorrow night. They're going to be showing 66 games and have supported the Super League throughout. But we've got terrestrial TV, Channel 4. It's a huge shop window, isn't it, for sport?
It's a great opportunity, and I think this year is a really, really exciting year for those sorts of opportunities to open up as well. And you look through the teams, and obviously I think we're potentially a stronger team. Catalans are potentially a stronger team. Leeds, Wigan, Warrington, all our main competitors. And I think right across the board, every team in the competition has the potential to be stronger, and that's a really exciting comp. And then after that, we finish with a World Cup, which is going to be really exciting as well. So it's a great opportunity for the game. I think a great year for it to happen, and I think our fans can be really excited, and I think any new viewers can be as well.
And what would it mean to do it again then? Come on. What would it mean to make history?
He hasn't touched it yet. He's
not allowed there.
obviously superstitious. They can't touch it now
He's
until
not
Old
allowed
Trafford.
Look, an outstanding achievement, and I'm very, very proud to be associated with this team and this town, this club, and particularly this group of men. They're an outstanding group, and to be able to play a little part in what they've achieved so far, but what they can achieve and the potential there is something that would be very special. And as I said before, there's a lot of tough work to do first.
Well, Kristian, on behalf of sponsors Betfred, congratulations for last season. Good luck this season starting tomorrow night, and really appreciate you coming in on the eve of the start of the Betfred Super League. Thanks so much, Kristian. Thanks for coming in.
No worries, thanks for having me.
I mentioned Channel 4. Let's hear from the new face of our coverage, Adam Hills.
When I was a kid, my dream was to be a professional rugby league player, and when I was about 12 or 13, I found out that's really hard when you've got one leg. So I drifted away from rugby league for a while, and it was only a few years ago that I found that Warrington was setting up England's first ever physical disability rugby league team, and I just jumped straight back into it with all the energy that I had, to the point where, I've stopped my comedy career. I've told my manager, comedy's on hold. I turned down an invitation to Prince Charles's 70th birthday at Buckingham Palace because we had training that night. Not even a game. And it wasn't because it was because I would much rather go and train in Warrington in 4 degrees than go to Buckingham Palace. No one here is surprised by that, which we do come with him now. I'm so excited to be involved in this, and in no way I'm going to put myself forward as an expert. I'm surrounded by amazing people in front of the camera, but having met the producers today, they all love rugby league. The first thing we did was not even chat technical stuff, we just chatted about which teams we love, which players we love, who we grew up supporting. So that passion is behind the camera. And I'm just going to try and convey it to the people at home that have never seen rugby league before. I'm hoping new people come on board. I love the sport, and for anyone, for the players, the coaches, if you see us on the sideline and you want to come over and have a chat after the game, just feel free. You don't need there is an open invitation. You're more than welcome to come and have a chat. So I'm really excited. I'm excited that Channel 4 are doing this, and you said the word a load of times, and it's the one thing that I've noticed here in the UK that's really special about rugby league. It's a family. So hopefully the one thing I hope I can bring to it is to invite and join all the viewers into the rugby league family, the big, inclusive, dysfunctional, but wonderful rugby league family. So thank you for having me. I'm just, I'm a giddy fan, that's all I can say.
And Channel 4 kick us off on Saturday with Leeds versus Warrington. Eddie, obviously, I called you the voice of rugby league, which you were for so many people who followed Sky coverage.
Thank you.
Now, Channel 4 have come. This is great news for Sky as well, though, isn't it? Because more eyes are going to be on the game, and then hopefully we'll get more people watching on a Thursday night and a Friday night as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. And Adam Hills is a smashing guy. I saw him at the Old
And
Trafford.
a rugby player as well.
He plays the game. He's a member of the Warrington PDL team, isn't he? And they're not a bad side themselves. He's an enthusiast, which I think you have to be when you're in front of the camera and you're fronting a sport like this. He's a comedian, so stand by for a few laughs. Channel 4 will do something totally different, I'm sure. It won't be just like the usual, chat interview with a player, past player. There is something coming, I'm sure. Channel 4's a bit off the wall, isn't it? Let's be fair. And the people that they attract to watch will be expecting all sorts of things. And Adam is, as I say, he's an avid follower of the game. He loves the game. Outside Old Trafford, Steve-O and I were talking to him, and I said, well, how do you think this is going to go? And we'd just been talking previous to this, and Steve-O said, they've got to be big up front, they've got to do this, they've got to do that, pass the ball around, good kicking game. And he repeated it word for word. And then he looked at Steve and he said, have I got it right? Is that right? Have I said it right? So it'll be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it, 12:30 on Saturday. I shall be there, be glued to the set.
And Scully, obviously Challenge Cup games have been on terrestrial TV, England games have, Great Britain team, but it's the first time a Super League has been on terrestrial TV. You know, we've got to give a Super League team, especially the likes of Rodri Jones, a pat on the back.
Yeah, massive, massive well done to the commercial team at Super League. And how good is it just to see it on terrestrial TV and now, target a different audience, people who maybe have never watched, a live game of Rugby League. And, I'm still to speak to somebody who's never enjoyed the game when they've seen it. Half-hour battle is letting them see it or getting them to a game.
You're right, Paul.
We've got a great product.
It's the greatest sporting secret in this country.
Right, we've got a great product. We've got 11 clubs still to talk about. We're going to talk about all the other clubs as much as we can. We're here till 7 o'clock. We've heard from Steve McNamara. Quick word on Catalans. Obviously, no James Maloney. Mitchell Pearce has come in. Hey, is Steve McNamara French now? He's so settled into that role, isn't he? But he's so settled into that Catalan culture as well.
I think it suits Steve, doesn't he? He's a very calming influence anyway. He's a great fella, and what a job he's done at the Catalan Dragons. And Mitchell Pearce, you say, coming in for James Maloney, very very much like for like, world class scrum half. His game management will be second to none, and probably slip straight into that role of James Maloney. And Catalan will be some team.
Dylan Napper as well. He's here from the NRL, and also Tyrone May, both seasoned NRL professionals.
And very quickly, Scully, me and you have been doing these previews for years, and we always say they're inconsistent. Well, they got it right in a lot of away games last season, Catalan, didn't they?
Yeah, for years they've either got it right at home or they've got it right away. This last year they got it right at both. They won the League Leaders' Shield. Tremendous performance in the grand final. Obviously, just pipped by 2 points by Saints. And we'll go into this season with a lot of confidence.
Can it be grand finalists again?
Yeah.
Can they go one better and even win it?
They can.
Oh, no, it's pointless. What am I asking you for? Can they go one better and win it?
Yes, they. Well, look, all 12 clubs will think they can go one better than somebody and win it. Yes, they can. Catalan have done what St Helens have done. They have strengthened while they are bubbling up at the top, and it can only be good for Catalan.
You spoke about with Kristian then about the pressure on Saints at the top. That's the pressure you want, as he says. To have that pressure means you've done it. Yeah. Means you're the one that everyone wants to beat.
Right, well, I'm under pressure now. We've got another 10 more clubs we've still got to talk about. Right, Channel 4, Saturday, 12:30. It's Leeds versus Warrington. Let's hear from the new Warrington coach. He's a familiar face, Darryl Powell.
Yeah, I think whenever you go to a new club, it's getting off to a good start, and it's a tough challenge with the games that we've got coming up in the first four rounds. We've got Leeds first up, which is always tough. Castleford at home, and that's a short turnaround. So, and then the two French teams. So there's a mixed bag in there, but no, we're ready for it. I think pre-season's gone really well. We've had tough it out against Wigan, and here we go. We just get our teeth into it and show what we're made of.
It must have been such a strange headspace for you, I guess, at times last year, trying to do the best job you could for Castleford, but also knowing that this job at Warrington was coming up. I guess when you finally got the reins at Warrington and came into that first day of pre-season, got the wind in your sails, so to speak, you were a real sense of, I guess, relief, but also time to crack on.
Oh yeah, I think I gave everything to Castleford right until the end. Like last year, obviously we got the Challenge Cup final, and I thought we were unlucky not to play more games leading up to it with COVID. And then we fell away a little bit, which was the most disappointing thing. But look, I was completely focused on Cass, and then now I'm completely focused on the challenge that I've got at Warrington. Got into the club, and it's been an awesome pre-season. I think the boys have bought into everything that we've given them as a coaching staff, and look, it's about moving forward now these next 3 years and achieving some special things and the potential of the players that we've got at the club, which is
Darryl Powell, now the Warrington coach. Eddie, got Castleford to the grand final, and they were the best team that year and the most entertaining team that year as well.
They were outstanding. 2017, absolutely brilliant. He will get Warrington playing. I'm going to say it before you do. Is this Warrington's year? Everybody says that, don't they? Year on year, is this going to be Warrington's year? A lot of my mates in Warrington, I'm disappointed he's in Lim. I thought he was in the Royal Borough, but anyway, there we go.
No, but he's moved from the northwest.
He's moved across.
He could have been commuting.
Absolutely.
No,
you told me you weren't posh enough for Appleton.
No, well, that's true. We'd have taken him out for a beer, though. There wouldn't have been a problem. No, a lot of my mates think they haven't got a pack big enough to take on the likes of Catalan, Saints, Wigan and Leeds and the rest. And that is the big fear of Warrington supporters, that perhaps they're not as muscular as some of them are. I mean, Ollie Holmes will make a big difference. Peter Matautia, I think, is a great signing. He's raided his old club for them. Joe Bullock's gone there as well from Wigan, I think. So I think Warrington are in for a good season. I really do.
Well,
I
third
really do.
last year, and then they were awful in that eliminator against Hull KR, weren't they? They were awful.
They fell apart. They absolutely fell apart. I don't know what was wrong with them, and I've asked a couple of people at the club what went wrong that night. You know, they seem to have lost interest. They seem to have they just fell off the perch.
4 grand
completely.
finals. Can they go one better?
Well,
with Darryl Powell, that's what all Warrington fans want. They've won Challenge Cups of late, but they want to win the big one. Can they go all the way with Darryl Powell, or is it too early this season?
Well, it's his first season. Let's wait and see how they start and how they go under Darryl. As I say, I think I'm right. They'll play good. They'll play some good football under Darryl Powell.
They will.
They'll have a dig.
I think the biggest thing with Darryl is he's a born winner. He's an inspirational fella. You know, I had the pleasure of playing with Darryl. He's a competitor. Yeah. I think what he'll do, he'll change the culture at Warrington. He'll drive the standards of Warrington. So we knew they had good players. You know, that's why they get talked about every year. You know, but they've never lived up to it. They've been inconsistent. You know, they'll beat a St Helens or a Wigan. Then you know, they pull in a performance like they did against Hull KR. He'll be driving for that consistency, and I think if they can do that, then they've got a lot of talent on the team sheet.
I'll never forget that night at Weldon Road when Gale kicked the drop goal to get them to Old Trafford. It was magical, a magical
Brilliant
moment.
semi-final.
Oh, it was fantastic semi-final. And then Zach Hardacre happened to them. You know, they got all the nonsense that went on around Zach, and that was the moment for me that they lost the grand final.
A good move for Darryl and a good move for Warrington.
Fabulous. You know, good luck to him. I hope he has them playing good stuff. I hope they have him playing in front of full houses, and he is, as Paul's rightly said, he's a winner.
Yeah, sorry, it'd be interesting to see the difference he'll have on George Williams as well. Obviously, we know what a great player George is. You know, it'd be great under Darryl's regime of allowing them to play and a bit more freedom. Yeah.
Tough start for Warrington, of course, and we've mentioned it live on Channel 4, 12:30 on Saturday. They're away at Leeds. Now, it's been a tough few years for Leeds, not won the grand final since 2017, that game against Castleford. Is Richard Agar getting things together? Let's hear from him.
Well, Rich, we're in touch and distance at the start of the season now.
Yeah.
In some respects, is this kind of the worst week of the year? You're kicking your heels a bit, ready to go, itching to get started?
Yeah, it is. I think we're at that point. We've had 3-4 trial games. We've got another one this weekend for some of our younger players, but we're just at that point now where we think there's only so much training and trial games before you really need to play to start improving and get some live football on. We feel like we're in a good spot. We've got some crinkles to iron out, as everybody will at this stage of the year, but we're predominantly fit and healthy. We've got some good depth, and I think we've got a squad that really believes in each other and is excited about getting kicked off.
And I think probably for most teams in the last couple of years, just because of the nature of the world, it's been peaks and troughs at times in performance levels and who you've had available, but you've had plenty of time off now to kind of review it and put things right. Do you feel settled and ready?
Yeah, we do feel settled. We've had 4 signings come into our club, as well as some juniors. 4 good players that we think are all going to, in their own right, are all going to have a strong impact on our team and the competition. We think we've moved the squad forward from last year. We've got a real healthy balance to it. We've got some good strength and depth. And the word I will use is belief. I think we've got a team that is highly motivated to achieve this year.
2017 was the last time Leeds picked up this trophy, and well, Scully, you played against a golden era of a Leeds team, didn't you?
Yeah, they were an outstanding, weren't they? But all that Leeds team seemed to go out together, and I think that's why Leeds have struggled over the past few years. You know, that they're in that transition period of breeding that next lot of players, and I think they're starting to bear fruit now, and I think this will be a big year for Leeds, along with the additional signings. But the likes of
Blake Austin and Aidan Caesar. Yeah, I mean, obviously they played together at Canberra, didn't they?
Yeah, the younger players like Mikhail Ledsky, who for me will be a first choice England front rower. But Caesar's a massive signing for them. Blake Austin's a very, very much an individual, and let's hope he can show the consistency that he did in his early time at Warrington. But I think Aidan Caesar, what Leeds have lacked over the last few years is that constant playmaker. The guy who runs the team.
He's a special player, isn't he? He's a kind of player you want to watch.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's an outstanding player, and did a great job at Huddersfield, and obviously a shrewd signing for Leeds.
And they've obviously deliberately signed both of them. They've played together at Canberra Raiders, but they're not going to be playing together on Saturday, unfortunately. Blake Austin suspended.
He is suspended for one game, which is a shame. He would be ruining that, I'm sure. He would have loved to have gone in against the Warrington Wolves first up. I mean, they're going to be dark horses again, Leeds. They always are. I mean, you can't talk about Super League.
Are they better than last year? So what? They finished 5th. They beat Wigan, didn't they? Nilled Wigan in the playoffs and then lost to Saints. So what's success for Leeds this year?
Well, I think success is to win something. I mean, they were almost written off last year, and when you think about it, they were the Challenge Cup holders in 2021, and people did write them off. I mean, Aidan Caesar, Blake Austin, as you say, they played together in the past in the NRL. Let's wait and see how they go. Conrad Hurrell has gone. He's come here, hasn't he, to St Helens. James Bentley has gone the other way from here to the Leeds Rhinos. Luke Gale has gone as well. So it's a whole new ball game, as they say, for the Leeds Rhinos this year. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. As I say, they're dark horses. Whether they can win it this year, first year with the new faces, I don't know.
Do you think Richard Egar's got things a bit more settled as well? He's got certainly a more solid backroom team, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, he's got Sean Long as well behind, who's a very, very smart coach, very smart footballer, and he'll be working with Blake and Aidan Caesar. Obviously, there was that disruption of the Luke Gale saga over the past 12 months, and I don't think that did any favours. And the halfback situation, you found Cruz Lehman at halfback, Richie Miley was in between halfback and fullback, and that's why I say I think Aidan Caesar is such an important signing for them this year.
And they've got a new signing coming from within, Jack Walker, who's missed the last 2 years.
And Harry Newman as well.
Two outstanding young players. Walker caught the eye so much in his first year, didn't he? Then he was injured. He missed all of 2021. So, there is a brand new player coming from within the group.
I think that's where we say that young blood of, these guys were forced on the first team probably before they were ready because of so many players transitioning. But they've all,
So where do Leeds finish then? Where do they finish?
I've got them top 4.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go along with that as well. Top 4, yeah, okay. They're in the playoffs. They always are.
I think success for Leeds is making a final. I don't think they're in the same league as Saints or Catalan at the moment, but it's yet to be seen because there is so many changes. And
they're definitely stronger than last term, though, aren't they?
No, they're miles stronger.
They look it on paper. He'll change his mind after tomorrow night.
Well, if you fancy Leeds, we are top price everyone to win the grand final. So whoever you fancy, we're top price. No need to shop around. You got St Helens 9-4 favourites, Warrington 9-2. Catalans 6-1. I think that 6-1 looks big for the Catalans. Wigan at 13-2, Leeds at 8. Castleford and 22-1, so a big gap after Leeds in the betting. So 22-1 for Castleford. Right, although we do have regular season winners, which were the Catalan Dragons last year for the first time, it's all about lifting this trophy at Old Trafford on the 24th of September.
So this is it. Time to decide the champions of Super League. You've been waiting around long enough. The moment is here. You better stand up. It's time. You better stand up. It's time. You better stand up. It's time. You better stand up. It's time.
Yes, St Helens have won the last 3. Can they make an historic 4th? Well, book your tickets now. Tickets available for the showpiece at Old Trafford on Saturday the 24th of September. And look, I know people love to knock rugby league at times. Eddie, you've commentated on so many grand finals. As a showpiece, I mean, that 10 minutes before, when the army are involved and we've got the singing of Jerusalem and stuff like that, it is a special build-up to the grand final.
Greatest night of the year, as far as I was concerned, for each and every one of them from 1998. I remember when we started, people with the grand final, a lot of people said, "Oh, hang on, 6 o'clock on a Saturday night in front, under the lights, you're killing the game. You're killing. I think we got 38. Killing the game.
Killing him. I've seen him at 11:30 after a grand final.
Yeah, but that was oh, did you think it's going to work? Did it work? We filled it within 2 or 3 years, and we'll get back to that, I'm sure, in the years to come. Obviously, it's a television bonanza now that this game has got to showcase itself. beIN Sport in France, Sky will continue doing what they've done for so many years. It is but back to your original question. The grand final is a wonderful, wonderful occasion, a fantastic night, big crowds. We had Madness there one year. Madness sang and then Madness started when the referee blew his whistle for the start of the game. Just a brilliant night. And I would sooner than be at Anfield, but I understand why they're at the Theatre of Dreams. I understand that.
Come on, what's it like winning it at Old Trafford, Ed?
It's a special, you're on about laughing about grand final. It's probably the one day of the year that I miss playing. Yeah. The only day.
And I bet you miss commentating.
When you watch them players walk out of that corner at Old Trafford, it's a money can't buy experience, and it is
hairs in the back of the neck stuff, isn't it?
Well, it was in 2021, Mark. When there was nobody there, I thought they did a magnificent job. I really did. They lifted the trophy and bang off went the fireworks.
Do you know what, Eddie? I had the pleasure of being at that game, presenting the man of the match to James Roby, and I was sat next to Kristian. To say the KC Stadium was empty, the atmosphere was electric with nobody in. It was the lighting and just the way the game finished.
Yes, sensational.
That should have been in front of 80,000 people.
And I have to say this, the second best try that St Helens ever scored.
Yeah.
Gents, you know what? We've done 41 minutes and we've not mentioned Wigan. We've got to talk about Wigan. There's a new man in charge. Is Wigan through and through? Let's hear from Matty Pete.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're excited as a group. Like you say, it's my first one as head coach, but it has felt quite natural. The players have been great. We've got a quality staff, so we're all excited about what lies ahead.
Lots of change at the club. Yourself at the forefront of that, but perhaps the more impressive than some of your on-field signings is the coaching team and the setup that you've got around you. You must feel that some of the brains that you have to pick and some of the people that you've got on that coaching park with you are a real asset.
Yeah, we're well resourced in terms of coaching staff, and also we've got a strong leadership group as well with players like Thomas Lulawai, Liam Farrell, John Bateman, Willie Ice and Sam Powell. You combine that with Lee and Sean that we've got on the coaching staff. We've got in terms of rugby league now, some rugby league experience, we are well blessed. It's going to be a matter of tapping into all of that and making sure that we can see it on the pitch.
Lee Breers was very well spoken of his time as a coach at Warrington. But your experience of him as a coach, what's that been like so far?
Excellent, yeah. Very. I had experience working with Lee before with England Academy, and I knew that we had a good connection. He's got a fantastic rugby brain. I like the fact that he's obsessed about the game, but he's also obsessed about coaching. It occurs for his players, and he has a good measure of hard work and enjoyment, which is important to me and important to the Wigan club. We want a group that gel together and enjoy each other's time. So yeah, Lee has been an outstanding acquisition, and I'm chuffed that the club could get him on board from Chris and Ian. Really pleased.
Scully, I was here for the launch. He spoke really, really well. I mean, he's been at Wigan for years, hasn't he?
He is. He's Mr. Wigan Matty. He's a great fella and very, very well respected at Wigan. Great to see him get the job. Ian Lenigan to have the confidence in giving Matty the job from within, and I think he'll do a great job.
And one of your mates is now on the coaching staff, Lee Breers.
Yeah, I think one thing Wigan lacked over the last couple of years is that attacking flair. That freedom to attack, and that's Breers' game. I know it's something that Matty wanted to see more of, and again, very much like I said about Darryl Powell, about driving standards. That's something that Matty Pete's a big believer in, and obviously the big boss man Sean Wayne is back there as well on the managerial side of things. So
yeah, with Sean O'Loughlin as well, seen it.
Yeah, there's a lot of great influences.
Is there a bit of stability now finally at Wigan? Because let's be honest, it hasn't been, has there, for the last couple of years?
I think so.
No offence to Adrian Lamb, was obviously expecting a change.
Yeah, I think from above, there's a lot more stability. The question is obviously those guys who are taking the field. Are they good enough to compete with the?
And they've always had some great young players, and obviously Matty Pete has come through with them all.
He has, yeah, and Matty has, worked with a lot of them younger players from the junior levels, the academy reserve grade, and I said it last year on Sky that I think a lot of them players were forced to play because they were what was available before they were ready. And certainly the forwards, there was a lot of pressure on them young kids to carry that Wigan side, and they weren't ready for it. So that's the big test for Wigan. Obviously, them players are going to be 12 months, 24 months better off, more experienced, and physically more developed.
I think that's the nicest you've ever been about Wigan.
I've got a lot of respect for Wigan. They're a great club and a great team. And
Go on,
we all want to see a strong Wigan.
It was disappointing last year. I mean, that game against Leeds was really, really poor, wasn't it? Their performance from Wigan. Where do they finish this year?
Wigan are always going to be up there. They're always going to be competitive, and we all want to see a strong Wigan. Certainly, from a Saints point of view, you want to see a strong Saints-Wigan derby. They had disruption as well in there. Like Bevan French, for me, was their best player. They lost him for all of last year. Great to see, the news that he's coming back to Wigan imminently, and I think he's a massive sign. They had injuries. I was at the Warrington Wigan game, and Wigan looked good. They threw the ball about. Jai Field looked sharp. So I think if they can keep everybody fit and keep the best players on the field, they're going to be a threat.
Right, you've got 10 seconds. Where do Wigan finish, Eddie?
Top 4. There you go. Top 4. They're all going to finish in the top 4.
That's 5 teams we've picked, Eddie.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I think the biggest signing for Wigan, and last year it was all about, there's rumours so early in the piece Adrian Lamb would not be there this year. I think the biggest signing for Wigan is Sean Wayne. Yeah. He's got the hand on the tiller.
Matty Pete.
Pardon?
He's a great mentor for
Absolutely.
Matty Pete to go and see,
and Paul mentioned the young kids that came through. Matty knows every one of them. So does Sean. And they've got Breersy there, who will, certainly add something. And Sean O'Loughlin, like Paul, he'd been there, seen there, got the T-shirt. They will be strong again, Wigan. They will. I mean, they're playoff material every year, aren't they? If they don't get in the playoffs, it's a nightmare.
Well, playoff material last year with Hull KR, they surprised everyone, and they were fantastic against Warrington, unlucky against Catalan in the end. Let's hear from Tony Smith.
We're excited. I think it's exciting. I can't tell you whether it's the best. I suppose at the back end of the year, if you're having a good year, it's probably the best time. But it's a great time of the year for all teams at the moment. Nobody's won a game or lost a game, and it's exciting. It's not knowing what's ahead, I think, is a great thing. I think that keeps us all on our toes, and we're all hopeful, and we're all wanting to achieve a whole lot. So, I just got it exciting rather than anything else.
At bottom of the stack in 2020, 80 minutes away from the grand final in 2021. Whereabouts on the roller coaster do you expect yourself to be this year?
Who knows? We'd like to be not somewhere in between, but who knows? You just got to start each season over and over. We'd like to think that we've got better and developed from where we were even last year, and we'd like to be on the upward scale, but only time will tell. And like goes for most teams, it's how injury-free you stay, how often you can get your best players on the park really matters. So, and that's the reality of it for all teams. Will determine how successful you are as well as how hard you work.
And what a job Tony Smith did last season. Lachlan Coots, obviously their big signing. And a great signing.
A massive signing for Hull KR. We all know what a player Lachlan is, and been outstanding for Saints for 3 years. So a massive signing for them, and I think one of my favourite young players in Super League as well, Mikey Lewis. Yeah. And I think Lachlan will be great for him. Yeah, he's
could be knocking on the door.
Worked with him at the England Knights, and he was outstanding against Jamaica, and certainly in the reckoning for the end of the year. Depending on how he plays for Hull KR, but he's an outstanding young player.
And Jordan Abdul, Eddie, had a great season, didn't he?
Yeah, Man of Steel contender, wasn't he, Jordan Abdul? I mean, they came from nowhere last year, let's be fair, Hull Kingston Rovers. I don't think anybody really thought that they would get to within 80 minutes of a grand final, but they did.
Playing a good brand of rugby as well.
They played really attractive stuff, they did. I mean, I just hope it's not for them second season syndrome, Has everyone now read the script for Hull Kingston? Do they know what's going to happen at Hull KR? Will they guard against what happened last year and try and stop this flamboyant style that they had? I'm with you. Mikey Lewis, outstanding, absolutely outstanding young player he is, and Jordan Abdul as well. I don't think Lachlan Coote has ever been under so much pressure in his career, because everybody...
Well, no, he came after Ben Barber here.
Yeah.
Well,
People stopped talking about Ben Barber very quickly.
I think that was after thing with Hull KR, though, that they weren't under that pressure. I don't think they felt that pressure because nobody expected that of them.
True, but I think Lachlan Coote is this year at Hull KR, because everyone's talking about him. He's going to be the signing of the year.
He's an ultimate professional.
He's a tremendous player.
Right, we're talking about Hull KR. We could do a whole hour, of course, on the two Hull clubs. But let's hear from the Hull FC boss. That's Brett Hodgson.
Brett, brand new season, brand new chance for you boys in 2022. Are you looking forward to getting going in the Betfred Super League after what's felt like a very long time?
Yes, absolutely. It has been a long time since our last performance, which definitely wasn't our best. So we're looking forward to getting back out there on the weekend and starting the season off well.
And you had a really disrupted year last time around with injuries, and that everyone struggled with the COVID situation. Does this fresh slate, I guess, we're getting this year, give you optimism that if you can keep bodies on the field and get things right, you can have a real good crack at it?
Yeah, most definitely. I think I think COVID hurt us last year, and then we had a number of injuries at the back end of the year. So we weren't good enough to still compete at the level that we should have at the back end. We've done a lot of work in the off-season, a lot of stuff on building those relationships amongst the players and a little bit of the mental resilience that we've trained for, and looking forward to seeing if that holds us well throughout the season.
You've signed well, probably the headline act in that, Luke Gale. Are you looking forward to seeing what he can bring, not only as a halfback but as a really experienced head and a leader as well? Yeah, definitely. He's been his leadership has been great around the place at the moment. There's a number of other players that have become better because of him as well. If we can get Luke, Josh Reynolds and Jake out in the field as much as possible, then I'm sure we'll win more games than we lose.
And they're away at Wakefield on Sunday. We'll talk about Wakefield in a moment. Eddie, Luke Gale's gone there and he's their skipper.
Yes, he is. He'll probably be the catalyst for them. They finished 8th last year, did the Black and Whites. That's not good enough for a club of that size. Massive club, a sleeping giant in many ways. A very hard taskmaster as well in their chairman, Adam Pearson, as he proved when he got rid of Lee Radford live on television. They've got some good grafters though, haven't they, as well? I just wonder what has happened in East Yorkshire over the past few weeks. What's in the air? Because I keep getting told that Hull Kingston Rovers and Hull FC are struggling at the start of the season with a catalogue of injuries. I mean,
no Jake Connor.
Jake Connor. Jamie Shaw is going to come back though, which is a big bonus for them. But you don't really want to go into the start of a season with some of your star players out injured, and that's what appears to be happening to both Hull KR and Hull FC.
What about Wakefield Scully? Obviously 10th last season. I mean, knocked on the door a couple of seasons, didn't they, with Chris Chester?
Yeah, obviously there was changes in the coaching staff.
Home, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, they are a physical side, and always a tough place to go is Wakefield. I was so pleased that Willie Poaching got the job as well. He come in, obviously taken over from Chris Chester, and did a great job. There's not a lot of movement in the transfer market with Wakefield. Not many leaving, not many coming in. So I don't. How much different we'll see in where they finish this year remains to be seen.
I think Willie Poaching knows they're probably second or third favourites to go down with Salford and Toulouse, and I noticed before your odds reflected that as well. I mean, Tom Lynham's there. He'll score a few tries. He always does. Went from Warrington. Good. Lee Gaskell, injury prone when he was here so often, but a decent player, can produce some stuff.
We'll talk about scoring tries. All the games are live in the Super League on Sky or Channel 4, but Double Delight as well. So if your first try scorer scores first and then scores again, you get double odds if they score first and then try again. We're going to do that for all the Super League games, live on Sky and live on Channel 4 as well. Right, Eddie just mentioned Salford. They've got a new coach. Let's hear from him. It's Paul Rowley.
I think I'm feeling ready. I think we've built quietly, and it's been definitely a work in progress. We've started from scratch, but as a group, a full group, we've started from scratch. So we ripped the old calls, the playbook up, and we've learned together at the same pace. We've got a lot of conscientious players who have been fantastic and led from within. So yeah, we feel like we're ready to get going. Maybe a couple of weeks, 3 more weeks would give us probably a bit more chance with some of the fitness on some of the players, but in terms of mentally and field prep, we're good to go.
And despite being new in the head coach role, you've obviously been around the club for a few years. You've had a good look at it. You must have had a fairly strong perception of what you were going to change and implement when you took the role over.
I just think it's just better to come in as a coach. I've got a philosophy, and I've got a way that I like things to work, and a little bit of honesty about how we go about our business. So irrelevant of what's gone on, I don't want to be a poor version of anybody else. Just got to be yourself, and I do believe that's really important as a coach, that you don't try and replicate anybody else. Obviously you take bits from what you've learned in your time as a player and a coach, and put it together to give it your own identity, and hopefully that's what we've achieved this pre-season.
Grand finalist in 2019, of course, Salford, so good luck to Paul Rowley there. Let's talk Man of Steel betting. We mentioned him early on. Aidan Caesar is the 10-1 favourite for the Man of Steel betting. Mitchell Pearce, we've given him a mention, 14-1. Jack Wellesby, 14-1. He's got the number 1 shirt here at St Helens. Sam Tompkins is a current holder of this. Won it in 2012 and 2021. But there's only one man who's won the Man of Steel in consecutive years. Do you know who it is, Eddie?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he's sat next to you.
Yeah, he is. He's here. Yeah,
pretty good.
He's lived on that for years.
No, without embarrassing him, to win it 2 years on the bounce is pretty
sensational.
impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well done. I don't think I've ever.
I still remember your speech.
I remember the interview. Didn't last long. No, brilliant. 2 years in the bounce.
Yeah, look,
Tompkins. I'm amazed he's 25-1.
Yeah. I was
amazing.
just going to say,
you're tipping Catalans to have a big season, aren't you?
Yeah, and Sam Tompkins will be a massive part of that. If Catalan have a good year, Sam Tompkins will have a good year. But he's consistently brilliant anyway, isn't he, Sam? So I think them odds are very, very generous. So any punters out there, 25-1's a good bet.
So Man of Steel betting, it's 10-1 on the field, so absolutely wide open. Right, we have a new coach in charge at Castleford. Is a familiar face to rugby league fans. Let's hear from Lee Radford.
Well, a touching distance to the start of the season, but I suppose firstly, welcome back to the Betfred Super League. You must be pretty excited at this stage.
I am. It feels like a really long pre-season, but it's come around quick. It feels like it's come around quick now, the start of it. So I think after Christmas, once you hit those pre-season friendlies, you are within touching distance. So we're really keen to get off to a good start, like every team in the competition. Thankfully, we've got a home fixture, which I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully we can put our best foot forward.
This was a slightly strange situation for you, obviously, knowing that you were taking over before the end of last season, but not being able to get your hands on the squad. You must almost feel like pre-season started for you when you took the job.
Yeah, it was unique. Again, I can't think or recall too many times somebody's been employed while the other bloke was in post. So it was good. It was giving me plenty of time to assess obviously what was going on at the club and looking at the squad as well. And hopefully the changes that have taken place will all be positive ones.
You've had a good chance to look at the club, but obviously for yourself it's been a couple of years away from it. Have you assessed what happened at Hull FC and how you can improve things now that you're at a new club?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was situational. I think the surroundings at Castleford are very different. Personally, can I improve in areas? I think every man can in every walk of life. So hopefully we can make them amendments and get better as a club.
Full interviews with all the coaches, if you're watching on the Sportsman's channel, they're available right now on the Sportsman Rugby League channel. Don't forget, the Sportsman on Saturday is showing a Betfred Challenge Cup game at Lock Lane versus Rochdale Hornets at 2:15. Lock Lane were won that last round, of course. They provided a shock. Can Lock Lane provide another shock as well? So that's live on the Sportsman on Saturday afternoon. Right, Scully, Cass, where are they with Lee Radford?
Yeah, well, I think they made some good signings, and if Cass continue to play like they did under Darryl Powell, that expansion, Leeds signed some first strike players as well. He took the two big boys, Farimo and Fanua, over from Hull FC, and Jake Mamo for me is a good sign as well. He was massive for Warrington last year. I think top, if not top try scorer, right up there for Warrington, and when Jake Mamo played well, often Warrington played well. So, but for me, the big one for Cass is getting Jake Truman back out there on the field. He's a world class player. He just needs to be out on the park.
We do this all the time. We always run out of time. Sorry about the other teams. The interviews are available on the Sportsman's Rugby League channel. Toulouse, no Jonathan Ford. 11 seasons he's been now.
Yeah, it's a shame.
We know why he's not there.
Yeah, we know why it is, and it's a real shame because he's earned the stripes, hasn't he, to have a go with Toulouse in Super League. So that's a big loss for them.
It's nothing to do with the club stance. It's basically France's stance on vaccination.
It's the stance, like you say, of the country, and not a lot can be done about it. So it's a shame, and it's a loss to Toulouse and Super League fans.
And Huddersfield go there on Saturday. Look, if Toulouse are going to stay up, the crowd need to get behind them early on, because I think Leeds suffered last season, no crowd at the beginning. Leeds Sports Village could have been a fortress, so Toulouse need to turn that into a fortress and get some results on the board early out of it if they're going to stay up.
If they can, absolutely. I mean, that should be, I think, their number one aim, to win all the home games if they possibly can and get the crowd on their side. I mean, I hate to end this programme on a bit of a downer. I'm fearful for Toulouse, I really am. I noticed that Mark Corellia has gone on social media today saying he's training the house down, and he's looking forward to playing in the Super League because he's done it in the Championship for so many years. That's great news for them. Please God, they finish the season off, Toulouse. We have no more of this COVID. We have no more vaccination problems, and it's, as you say, it's not the club's fault. It is a result of France as a nation, their stance on the coronavirus that we have suffered, the pandemic. I just hope we haven't got another Toronto on our hands here. I'm keeping my fingers and everything crossed.
And Scully, Huddersfield, Chris Hill and Theo Farge, all about.
Yeah, two ultimate professionals, aren't they? Obviously, Theo, I thought was a big loss to St Helens. I'm a big fan of Theo, and obviously Chris Hill. What he'll do, he'll drive standards at Huddersfield. From ultimate professional, and I think was coming back into some really, really good form as well with Warrington. So a big signing for them.
I'm going to get the fellas' prediction in a moment, but get on the Super League website and join in the Predictor competition. Now, quite a few have done this already. The winner, who have you been predicting? Well, no surprise, you'll be happy with this, Scully. 43% of you are predicting the Saints to do it 4 times on a row. Look at that, Leeds, 16%. Who's going to win the league leaders? Well, that's even bigger for the Saints. 57% of you are saying that the Saints are going to win the league leaders' shield. Of course, they didn't last year. It was the Catalan Dragons. And relegation, 62% are saying Toulouse will be relegated. Get on the Super League website. Get involved in the Predictor very quickly. There's so much rugby league to enjoy this weekend. Starting, Thursday night. That's when your weekend starts now, isn't it? St Helens versus Catalan Dragons here at 8 o'clock. Friday, Hull KR versus Wigan, also live on Sky. And then on Saturday, lunchtime at 12:30, it's Leeds versus Warrington, live on Channel 4. On the Sportsman, we've got Lock Lane versus Rochdale Hornets in the Betfred Challenge Cup. And at 7 o'clock on Saturday, Toulouse versus Huddersfield. Right then. This is the most stupid question I've asked for the last 6 years. Scully, who's going to win? Yes, who's going to win the grand final?
The rest of the world's with me.
Well, no, only 43%.
43% of the world. Yeah, yes. I think Saints.
It's staying here.
Common sense says that they're the best team going into this season, so we can only go off that. I think it will be a tougher season than ever, and Kristian spoke about it. All the teams have strengthened. I think it'll probably be one of the best Super League seasons we've had in a long time.
I wasn't allowed to ask you when you worked for Sky.
No.
I am now. Who's going to win the Betfred Super League?
Dark horses, I think Castleford. Got my fingers crossed for Lee Radford. Go on, I'm going to say it. Warrington. Warrington. It will be their year in 2022. There you go. Warrington will win the grand final. You heard it here first.
Gents, thanks for coming in. And these fellas will be with us throughout the season. 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. We're going to be on the Sportsman's Rugby League channel with our show, The Last Tackle. So join us on a Wednesday. But it's all about this, and it'll be handed out on the 24th of September at Old Trafford. Can St Helens make it 4 in a row, or could it be someone else? We'll find out at the end of September. Thanks for watching.
Wow. Why would you want to watch any other sport?
Bring on the early mornings.
The lung-busting training sessions. Bring the new ideas, the new era, the new talents. Be the difference. The home advantage. The away following.
Be ready to have your breath taken away.
And that's what Mikey Lewis can do.
We don't believe in impossible.
George Williams, his first contribution for Warrington.
We're unstoppable.
They cannot stop this man. They cannot stop him.
Bring the fire. Bring the heart.
It's time to get loud.
Let's go! Because this is Betfred Super League. Bring it on.